Hi everybody, this is the website boy from the websiteboy.com, bringing you the PHP tutorial series. On the last tutorial, we saw the basis of an if statement, all right, and we saw how can we have code in here, in between in the if statement, that executes based on a condition, all right. So we know that execute this code will only execute if this condition was true in this code right here, right? So we need to actually have an alternative. We need to have an alternative, and that alternative to this code would be an else if statement. All right, I'm going to show you how that works in a minute. Basically, if this condition, what we're going to be doing is basically if this condition is not true, then we want to do something else, because right now this is only evaluating to a true condition. So if this is true, then it's doing something, but if it's not true, we want to do something else also. So let's do a save as on this file, and let's call it 20, and then we call it else, and then else if. Help. All right, it might looks a little confusing there. So we know that this is not going to execute right now because it is false. So let's just go to that file, to the localhost, refresh right here. So this is nothing's gonna happen here because this is false. Let's make this true. Refresh. All right. So this is executing. This condition is executing because it's true, but we want something else to happen when it's also false. All right. So we can use an else statement, an else alternative. All right. So we can immediately say that if this is not true, then I'm going to produce something else in here. I want to execute something else. So I'm going to say variable 1 is not smaller than variable 2, right? Because that would be true if I change it to this. If I refresh, then this one is gonna execute, and it's telling me variable 1 is not smaller. Sometimes I put things in my mind a lot faster than what I put it on paper or the keyboard. So variable 1 is not smaller than variable 2. So this one is executing now because this expression here is false. Now, let's say for example you have another condition. How are you gonna put it in here? Right? We let's say I just don't want to express this only. I want to express something else. I want to express I don't know. I want to express something else. I just don't want to express just I don't think it's fair just to express just true and false. What about if I just want to express another condition? Yes, we can use the else if statement. Else if, and then we open a parenthesis just like we did with the if statement here, and then we open a curly bracket also to put the code in there. So we can execute something else. Let's make some more variables. Let's put variable 3, and let's use 30, and variable 4 right here. So we could say something like else if variable 3 is smaller than variable 4, then we want to execute something. We want to say variable 3 is smaller than variable 4. So not only are we checking the first condition here with the if statement, but then after that we are also checking the variable 3 and 4. All right. And else, all right, let's see what's going to happen the way it is. Refresh, and now it's saying variable 3 is smaller than variable 4. All right, so now what happened? It's only executing one. It's only executing the second one. Can you guess why? because this one was false. But if we make this true, look what happens. Refresh. It only executes the first one and then it quits. Remember, these are optional here. This is not something that it needs to be in the code. This is not gonna execute. If this is true right here, it's not gonna go further down and check anything else. That's for another code, a piece of code that I'm gonna show you later on. That's a different program. But right now, it's just gonna give me the first one. All right. So if variable one and variable two, is true, then but then if this is false, it's gonna go to the second one. And then if the second one is true, it's gonna execute the second one, and then it's not gonna execute this one. But if we make this one false, then it's gonna go to the last one. Excuse me. Refresh, and then it says variable one is not smaller than variable two. So we can say something like this: variable one and variable two are smaller than variable 3 and 4. Right? We could say that like that. So if this both conditions here are false, then we have a backup right here. And that's what we're saying. So if variable 1 and variable 2 are smaller than variable 3 and 4, that's because both of these conditions are false now. All right? So this is like a backup for this two right here. Now we can also execute multiple else if statements. Don't get me wrong, you don't have to have one, you can have multiple of them. All right? You can have multiple else if, and you can have multiples if statements also. All right? It gets a lot more advanced later on, but then later on we can use something else instead of using that many if statements. All right? And those are called switch statements, and we're going to get to that later on. But anyways, I hope you were able to learn something new with this tutorial, and hopefully I put it in very simple steps for those newbies out there, so that way you can understand it. That's what I try. That's my goal, so that way everything's clear for you. If you have a question, please ask. Anyways, if you like this tutorial, like it, uh, favorite, show your support that way. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Website Boy out.